philosopher, one of the greatest people in the world. They love to share their knowledge and their philosophy amongst common people like us. Sun Tzu, Aeolus, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, all these people and their own goals, sharing their knowledge to common folks like us. And I am so blessed to be surrounded by a bunch of goddamn commoners. Growing up, I was surrounded by people, ambitious people, people that want to make a ding in the world. I would say they're delusional. Now, here's the thing. I can't be optimistic all the time. We condemn people for saying the right thing that's bad about someone, but when people get the wrong guess that a person will be successful, they don't get awarded for it. Okay, that's a double negative. Let me just simplify it. A lot of young kids want to be the next Bill Gates or something stupid, but here's the thing. Not everyone in the world can be rich, and usually, typically, when they grow up, they realize that their dreams are out of their reach, and not everyone in the world can be billionaires. And it's reality the situation. Not everyone could be billionaires. There's a balance in the middle where everybody, well, not everybody, but there's got to be rich people and there's got to be poor people. And if everyone was billionaires, eventually those billionaires are not so grand, because if anyone can do it, right? It's kind of like getting a six-pack. If anyone could do it, why would everyone be so obsessed about it? But there are some people that still believe they can do something major and important in their 20s and 30s, but they refuse to put in the hard work. And when they start taking shortcuts, like becoming philosophers of, like learning from philosophers of these successful people like Socrates, they start to go insane. They become haywired. These people, these philosophers, they became philosophers. They didn't just decide to be like, oh, I want to be a philosopher, and then everyone listened. Can you imagine a homeless man in your local neighborhood saying that he's a philosopher? How many people will listen to him? But let's just say a guy that's a self-made billionaire, and he say he wants to be a philosopher. People will listen. Why? Because people want to be a billionaire. They're like, oh, well, this billionaire got some knowledge he wants to share. I'll listen. He has merit. I'll listen. But if a homeless man says he wants to be a philosopher and teach you his way of life, what? You want to learn how to be homeless? Like, typically these philosophers that we hear about, they have some kind of merit in the past, which made them more respectable and more listened to. Now, people, they tend to take listening to these philosophers to the extreme, and then it changes their mentality, not in a good way, but in a bad way. A bunch of my friends take up the idea that they act like these supposedly philosophers, they can be financially successful and achieve great heights. You see, the goal of my friends at the time, they just wanted to be rich. They just don't want to say that they want to be rich, because it would come off as like opposite of humble, and it would come off as, it's just greedy. But a lot of philosophers would say, don't be greedy, just work hard, don't think about money, or just do what you love to do what you're meant to do. But a lot of my friends, they just want to be rich. They want to drive sports cars. They want to have the most expensive, newest iPhone. They want to have like 18 houses and rent them out and make money on the side without ever worrying about or thinking about laws and regulation of being a homeowner. It's just all a bunch of fantasies. But then, like, lo and behold, it's really difficult, and people that follow these philosophers to an extreme, they become crazy. Like, literally, I'm not over exaggerating, like literally crazy, like schizophrenic crazy. One of the issues is that people, they give themselves more credit than they deserve. Like, they think they're smarter than everyone else. They believe that they are like top 100 or maybe top 10 smart. I have like 3 friends in my life that actually believe they are top 100 or even like top 10 like smartest people on the planet. And I think it doesn't take a genius to know that they are nowhere near that realm of intelligence. But some dumbasses, realize just thinks that, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow this philosopher, I'm gonna take it to this extreme, I'm gonna do what Marcus Aurelius does. Well, I don't think even Marcus Aurelius did do this, but then they practice stoicism to the point where they treat their family like dog shit, and then they just shun their family, like their family had nothing interesting to talk about, nothing productive, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but if his family doesn't talk about like trying to find ways to achieve his goals, like my friend, he wanted to be a billionaire. He would ignore his family about everything unless they're trying to make him rich. Like, it's so asinine, like hearing him like exist. He would talk shit about his mom and say how dumb she is and how she is making him poor. But then, like, every time when there's money, right? Then he starts giving her attention, like, oh, you're gonna lend me money, you're gonna make me a billionaire, da 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 da. Like, no, you're so self-centered. You think that everyone exists just for you. That's not true. And then, I don't know, these people think that by having this mindset of constantly thinking about money and being like having your own business or whatever, they think that they will be for next Steve Jobs. But what end up happening is that they will lose all their friends, and their family will hate them, and these people will eventually go insane because they brainwash themselves to believing that they are this like god tier human that can make perfection out of nothing. Now, I'm talking about this right now because I bumped into one of my friends that I ghosted, like one of my 3 friends that I ghosted that actually went insane, and I was happy that he barely recognizes me. Like, he recognizes me, but then he just doesn't know how we interacted, and he's just trying to do the same dog shit sales pitch, like, oh yeah, I'm going to make the world a better place. Yeah, I'm going to get an erection, and then I'm gonna drink vinegar, and I don't know. This guy is schizophrenic, and it was kind of hard to watch, but the reason why I'm making videos because of him, and I realized that he was going insane during the period of time when he was taking philosophy class, and okay, it kind of makes sense now, because he wasn't the only one that went insane listening to philosophers and taking their advice and quotes to the extreme and drove themselves insane. Typically, when people, they just believe in something too much, the message gets skewed and they go insane and they just develop schizophrenia. For these people, like, they're out of touch. Just look at what's her name? Tia Tequila, the chick. She is so obsessed with being a god that she lost her sense of self and she went literally insane. And that's just the situation. If you believe in something too much that's not real, you sound insane, and you might even be insane. I talk about this because it's actually pretty sad. Well, I mean, I have a personal connection to it, since one of my friends just became very weird and I just met him again, and I just thought, wow, we used to be good friends and I abandoned you. For a pretty good reason. I'm not trying to get killed, because this guy, he actually got arrested a few times for trying to kill some strangers on the, well, I don't know, I wouldn't say as far as kill, but definitely there was death threats and assaults that could probably end up deadly, but because he is schizophrenic, he got let go. He wasn't charged or anything. And the thing is, I do know how this came to be is because he took philosophy to the extreme. And the thing is, these philosophers, when they talk about something, it's not so much trying to take their philosophy binarily or exact. It's more like, make the best out of my knowledge. Just think of it as a card game. You're handed a pile of cards, you pick it up. You don't really have good cards, but you have to make the best of it. You have to make the best decisions, make the best combination so you can have the best result. But people, they just take the advice. Like, for example, if I was a philosopher, and someone is a diehard fan of mine, I tell them, ignore anyone that does harm to you. And then say a guy takes that seriously to the extreme, he would ignore someone that's giving him a death threat, and then he gets stabbed because he ignored a person that gave him a death threat. Well, as a philosopher, I don't really mean it like that. I'm just saying, like, oh, just ignore your haters. Don't make such a big deal about it. But then some people will take it to extreme and misinterpret that meaning of that language, and then they take it to the extreme, and they apply it to everywhere, to everyone, and they end up losing all their friends. And that's just a tragedy in its own right. Overall, my advice to you: don't take philosophy too seriously. Just learn through real life experience and not through some bullshit theory from a famous guy. You will be surprised by how much you learn if you just go out and experience hardship by yourself. You will grow a lot more than to just reading a book and trying to live like some guy that you are not.